Good morning, Polar Ridge Ponies. I hope you're doing well, and it's time to start working on some yearbook covers. So our first lesson is going to be helping you with letter styles, how to put them on a page, how to create different letter styles, both block letter and ways to create letters based on your own handwriting, which is going to be pretty cool. And so let's get into it.
All right, so let's start by writing the words that we're trying to use to make sure that we spell them right. That's important. I hate to do a lot of art and then have it spelled wrong. So first word is polo, and so it's got 4 letters, so we're going to plan out how are we going to space out those letters. So I've got a box broken into 4 lines, and I'm looking at how to use basic shapes. So the L, just a simple rectangle. The O's are pretty obvious circles. And then the P is a combination of those. We've got a vertical rectangle and kind of a half circle. Now all I have to do is put in the negative spaces or the holes in the letters, and I get a pretty good looking polo just using circles and rectangles. Now what if we wanted to put that in the middle of the paper? And how do we find the middle? Well, easiest way is to go ahead and kind of fold the paper, make yourself a little mark. So I'm gonna give myself a top and bottom line and work from the middle to the outside to make sure that it's balanced and even on both sides, the left and the right. And in this case, I'm going to use all capital letters. So I've got my L shape, got O, make sure it's filling that space. Put in the negative spaces or the holes, and then looking at the spaces around the letter P and putting the hole in there. And so that is a nice big block letter polo. That's a nice straight box. What if I wanted to put it on a curve? So I'm going to set up my curve space first. There's my baseline, and then I want to determine how tall the letters are going to be. So there's my top line. Again, working from the middle, working towards the outside. You can see I'm actually adding spaces between them. So a different way to make your letters is by actually writing the letters with your own handwriting first, and then doing like a force field or bubble around those letters that you wrote. Just like that. So far we've only done polo, that's 4 letters. Now what if we want to do 5 or an odd number? So I'm going to set myself up a top and bottom line, and I'm going to start from the middle letter, which is D. And then I get the G and the I on either side, again working from the middle to the outside edges. Polar ridge, there's ridge. And the neat thing too is nowadays you have computers, so you have fonts that you can use. You can use any of those fonts and recreate those letters for your cover design. So I just happen to choose like a Times New Roman with little serifs. Those are little details that are kind of sticking out the sides of the letter. Also has a nice variety of thin and thick letters. So you can do that with any font. You can type it in your computer, print it out, and you could trace it at the right size if you wanted to, or just hand do it like what I did there. And here, next up, we've got elementary, 10-letter word. Now let's get a little fancy, okay? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write the entire word in cursive, or like a big scripty kind of letter style. And then I'm going to make it look a little bit like neon. So I'm going to start kind of doing a force field or bubble around the whole thing, carefully looking at the edges or contours of those letters. All the way around. Take your time. This video is sped up twice the speed of what I did it at, just so you know. I'm good, but I'm not that good. And then I'll start looking at those negative spaces that help show what those letters are. And then I'm gonna start thinking about where things might have overlapped if I was twisting this as a balloon or a neon sign. So again, that kind of loop-de-loop in there was kind of neat. Again, this is pretty advanced, but it's fun to try. And our theme this year for the yearbook that we're working on is we can do virtually anything. So having something that looks a little bit electrified might be interesting, but I really want to see what you guys come up with. But I thought this idea of kind of creating a continuous line could be really neat. also thought that it'd be really helpful for you to see how to do all of the alphabet in box letters. So I took the time and I did all the letters and all the numbers and a couple of punctuation marks as well. So take a look. You can always rewind this video and play it as often as you need to see how to create all of the letters in the alphabet. This is just one way. There are many, many, many different ways to do it. If you're interested in what we're doing, this is called typography. The study of how to make letter forms. And start looking for things that are similar. Like, you see how the E and the F are almost the same letter, except the F is missing the bottom part? Take a look at the H and the I. Is there a similarity there? What happens if you turn the H on its side? Does it look a little bit like an I? Yep, it does. Are there other letters that do that? If you turn the M upside down, what letter would you have? You're going to see it coming up a little bit later. And the Q is a lot like the O, except it has a little bit of a arm sticking out there. Is there a similarity between the T and the I? I bet you can find it. And what's the difference between the U and the V? I think it's just the pointiness of the V. Did you see the letter that was like the M? What happens if you take that W and turn it upside down? What does it look like? Yep, it looks like an M. So because we're doing some yearbook cover, I figured we might have some numbers involved. So here are all of the numbers. And this is just one way to do it. There are lots of other ways to do this, but I figured this might be helpful. And there's my 0. What did I do to make the 0 look different than the letter O? Do you see it? There's a question mark for the question. Exclamation, and then of course the period. Super hard. So enjoy, and I will see you soon.